Welcome to Zarnia for Games and Geekery. I'm Jon and this is
Adhil, Board Game Guru, 77.
We are talking board games and we are going to be talking about Tiny Epic Quest.
Tiny Epic Quest!
But before we get chatting about it, please like, share, subscribe, do all those things, leave angry comments because even bad engagement is good engagement. But I'd rather you didn't make them angry, just make them nice because, you know, Adhil's had a tough day. Yeah. So we're looking at Tiny Epic Quest. First impressions, what's this game about?
The game is a fantasy-based area movement game. You know, you look at the sort of box, you sort of think, okay, we're going to go into some kind of fantasy world. You're sort of moving through from castles to portals, which allow goblins through, to places where you can learn spells.
Do quests, kill goblins,
Exactly.
learn spells, get treasure?
Yeah, and the treasure's pretty cool.
Okay.
Right, so you get these tiny little treasures, these tiny little item meeples.
All of this fits into this one tiny little box. Look, this is the first time I've played the game, so I've got to confess that I was expecting you to bring out just like one deck of cards, and instead, more and more things just kept on coming out of this tiny game.
It does sort of explode onto the table. There's lots and lots of stuff going on for such a small box. And that plays quite a big role in terms of your expectation. And I have quite a big thing about expectations. Like if you have this massive box, which, you know, something like Scythe or Terraforming Mars or whatever, like you expect an epic experience, right? But this, because it's a small box, people sort of think, well, this is a half-hour game or 45-minute game.
When
Actually,
in reality,
there's loads and loads and loads of stuff coming out of here. I don't think I've ever played it in under 2 hours. The entire series, so there is a whole series of these games. They're trying to create a really good experience, a big sort of traditionally quite Euro experience, but in a really small box.
Yeah.
So you can, you know, so that it's quite portable. And actually production costs are relatively low. So buying the game, you know, because the box size is often an indicator of how much you're going to pay for the game.
yeah.
As well.
No, I love that you can actually just slip this in the bag and play it. So we've unpacked it. It's got so many moving parts.
Yeah.
What's the essential mechanic of this game? It's moving around this map.
Correct. I think the main mechanic is area movement. So you've got 3 meeples that you move from your castle to different places, and essentially you will take certain actions in those places. And one of the key things that you're doing is that you're planning for the end of the round. So when the game flips from daytime to nighttime, you need to have your meeples placed in a certain spot that allows them to take certain actions. So you might want to learn spells. That's one of the key ways that you could do it. Or you might want to be in a certain combination with your meeples that allows you to complete a quest.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's certain quests which are travel quests. So but at the same time, everybody else at the table is trying to do the same one.
Okay.
Right? So there are only 3 quests that are available at any time, and everybody's competing for them.
So what I like about it is that there are multiple ways of winning this game because there are multiple paths to victory, but each of them are kind of points based. You know, you don't have to. There's not one quest you finish and then you're going to get the big prize. You finish multiple quests, kill some goblins, learn some spells. They all add up to ultimate victory, which makes it quite fun to try and see what other people's strategies are.
Yeah.
Can you adapt your strategy to that and have like a big variety of gameplay?
And at the same time, it's not too much, right? So I know there's some people think that certain games have too many aspects, and they sometimes call it a point salad. So I don't think this is a point salad game. Like I think there are 3 main ways that you can gain your points, and I think that it's quite solid around those.
The core emotion that I was. This is the first time I played this game.
Yeah.
All right? I'm the newbie. You're the master, or the guru, if you will. And the main emotion, I was first like kind of very gung-ho. I was like rushing ahead with like my strategy. I'm just going to go after these things. And then I started realizing how much like deeper strategy there is available to this game. But sometimes that led to like a lot of drama.
Yeah.
Where does the drama come from?
Well, I think that part of the drama is what we were just talking about, is the quests, right? Because everybody's competing for the same 3 quests. And some of those quests are complete this particular temple this round. And so only one of you would be able to gain that quest. So whoever gets it first actually gains it. So that, I think, is a piece of drama, because you're all competing, and some of the spots only allow a certain number of players on that spot. So you're competing for limited space. At the same time, I think each card. So you have a player board, which is slightly differently configured. So the order in which you have to complete the temples to gain some of these legendary items is different on everybody's board. So that also means that we could both be going for the sword, but actually we have different directions that we have to take to get that sword.
Yeah. This sword right here.
That's the sword.
This is the one. Adorable.
And this was the first game that had these, what they call item meeples, where you could attach them to the meeples. They have these little holes where their hands would be to be able to grab on them. And since then, the Tiny Epic series has included quite a few games that now have them. There's a Zombies series, which has some weapons involved, and then there's a mechs version, which also has ways that you can sort of suit up your robot and get them to fight each other.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite a big part of the appeal of the game, of the aesthetic and the look. They've done quite a good job of how you gain those and what they actually do as well. So it's quite, I think it's quite smooth. You complete a particular quest. Everything you need to know about that item is written on that card.
Yeah.
And so that you don't have to go and look up the rules necessarily. Which actually brings us to another point, which is the rule book. I mean, there's actually quite a lot going on. It's a tiny little rule book, but there are lots of pages and there's lots of edge cases. So often I found myself having to go back, check whether this rule was being
Yeah, I noticed that happened a lot of the time when something bad happened to you. You were like, oh, I just need to make sure that this is the correct way before I lose.
You're on to me. Standard operating procedure for me.
Oh, busted. The other thing I think we haven't talked about is the dice.
Yeah. So dice rolling is another one of the key mechanics.
So this is where a lot of the drama comes in for me. At the beginning of the game, everyone starts quite equal. They have the same opportunities to everything. But as they gather more of the resources, especially the scarce ones, it divides more and more. The strategies divide more and more. Their opportunities divide more and more. And these dice push extreme situations on people. Damage, magic, chaotic magic that can ramp up damage very quickly and very surprisingly, which I find very, very interesting, and makes the end game a lot more desperate as you're trying to get one over on your opponent. Which I did, because I won. The first game I'd ever played, I won it. It was me.
You often seem to be the one that wins.
Yeah. All right.
But your point about dice is really, it's a really good one, is that it does create a lot of that drama. And I think there is a balance to be struck, because people, if you're just going to be winning or losing based off of one dice roll, it can be very frustrating, and it can be, if you're going to spend 2 hours worth of game and it all comes down to one dice roll, you're actually going to be quite annoyed. Whereas most games that involve dice will have some kind of mitigation involved. This game doesn't have a huge amount of that. So some of the items that you gain do have mitigation built in. So maybe when you move into a place, you can roll the dice and get some extra power.
Yeah, you can use a sword to stab people extra.
So I think that this game doesn't have a lot of mitigation. So some people might feel like, I was waiting for this particular dice roll, didn't quite get it, and that sort of hurt my chances of winning the game. I feel like there are lots, because you're not just gaining stuff when you roll the dice, you're also using the resources that other people at the table are throwing. I think that's quite a great way that they've increased the number of times that you essentially gain benefits from the dice.
So, Adhil, final impressions?
I like the game. I like the combination of the theme. It feels a bit like Zelda. It's got this really cute little fantasy theme going. The way that it looks on the table is great, and it's really just quite a simple game at the heart. It's got, you move around the table, you roll the dice, you move up there's some kind of recipe fulfillment. I think it's a really tight combination once you're used to the game you can play it quite a lot, and you could probably do it relatively fast as well, so about an hour's worth of game. So I'm a fan.
There is like a lot more depth to it as you go. The simplicity and the fun, like underneath, has like a nice level of strategic play underneath it all, which I'm addicted. I'm going to play this game again right now. So I think it's time for a rematch.
You're on. Let's do it.
All right. Meanwhile, like, share, and subscribe.
And if there are any games that you think we should be reviewing, please let us know in the comments below and we'll get hold of it.
And if you enjoyed this game, or if you hated this game, or if you just have thoughts that you want to share about other things, life in general, please also let us know in the comments. Adhil, let's do this. So, we should have a rematch right now because I'm feeling lucky.
You're on. And while we set up...
No, and then Jon, you start wrapping up with like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, I thought Adhil was going to start rapping. I was good.